Understanding the values of a business can be one of the biggest game changers in a business, especially if it's scaling and bringing on more staff. Driven Mofos, welcome back to another episode of The Underestimated Entrepreneur. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Michael Mojo. I'm the founder of Mojo Human Performance Institute, where we focus on business, mindset, and lifestyle hacking for driven mofos. And the reason why I do these episodes is that most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them. Let's talk about why values are so important in a business, and yet it is something that I would say that probably almost every business owner I've come across does not have them. If they do have them, they're ineffective, they're inefficient, and they're unclear, and normally the majority of the decisions that are being made in a business aren't being made with the alignment of the values in their thought processes. They're just making decisions and changing things, and they don't even think about the values, which is the reason why most cultures suck in business, why most businesses have either high turnover or low engagement, or they just aren't getting the results that they want. They might not be getting the marketing results that they want. They might not have the brand that they want. There's just so many things that really come down to a business not working effectively, and it could all be solved by getting really precise with the values of your business. So let's talk about it, because it's come up quite a lot, and I get asked quite a lot in our Business Growth Odyssey event that we have, people from all over Australia coming to attend. It's a year-long program, and it's something that we talk quite a lot about, and people probably get sick of me talking about it, but it is so important. Now, let's talk about what happens if you don't have the values clear in your business. Well, first of all, what normally happens is that your team will be running off of, I guess you could say, tasks. And so if you don't tell people what to do, they will always come to you. And so one of the key things that I hear a lot of business owners say when I talk to them, they'll say, Michael, I'm fucking sick of all the decisions coming through me. It's like I'm babysitting a whole bunch of children. They can't make a decision. They don't understand what they're doing. It just seems like they're incompetent. And I don't know why I'm always having to make these decisions, or they do things and then they fuck them up, and then I've got to go out and fix them. That's commonly a result from poorly defined values. And so people run off of tasks if they don't understand why they're doing something, and the why is part of the value structure of a business. So that's number one. Number two is it's really, really hard to build a culture if you don't understand the values and they're not clear. That means that you don't have a reprimand strategy, which means that you don't have a way of telling staff off if they're doing the wrong thing. You don't have a way of hiring people because you don't know really who you're looking for, so you don't know if they're going to be a culture fit. Now, you might have someone who's an amazing skill set, but if you bring them into a culture that is unclear, that one person may fuck up the whole business just because everyone else doesn't get along with them. So if you aren't clear with your values, it might be ruining your culture. So you've got a hiring strategy problem. If you're not clear on your values, you might have a reprimand problem where a lot of business owners that I speak to go, Michael, I'm not sure. They seem to sort of do a good job, but at the same time, I'm pissed off all the time and I'm frustrated because I feel like they're not getting the results that they want, but I don't really want to fire them because I think they're good. And so they get really, really confused about the staff that they've got. That's a very common problem as well. Again, it's probably a values problem. Another problem that happens in a business is that your marketing or your brand isn't internalized and then externalized within the company. So what that means is that when your customer service person answers the phone, then the salesperson should have the same feeling. Now, because there's no real culture in the business, when they talk to the customer service person feels completely different to the salesperson, who feels completely different to a manager or a leader in the company. Customers will have people that they like talking to, and then customers that they don't like talking to, because it's disjointed as a culture. So how do we fix it? Well, first of all, we need to get clear with the values. Now, to understand what values really are, is values come from a field of study called axiology. Now, axiology looks at two main key areas. Now, this is something that's not really discussed that well in human behavior. So in fields of psychology, they normally butcher the whole idea of values. They're getting better at it, but there's a lot of psychologists who butcher it. There's a lot of people in the human behavior fields who butcher it. There's a lot of people in the business fields who butcher it. They'll all talk about values, but have never actually studied where values come from and what they mean. Now, when we're talking about values, we're talking about two key fundamental areas in that field of study called axiology, which is the study of value systems. The first one is it's a philosophical construct, so it's a part of philosophy. And that is, where does a person feel the most valued? Now, how does this relate to business? In business, it's how does that business feel like it's valuable? So we want to think about values in a business as being like, how do we make everybody in the team feel like they're part of something? How do we then express that and externalize it out to the world? Because this is who we are. So this is where we get that feeling stuff from, which customers love to buy. People buy on feelings and emotions, and then they justify their decisions normally through logic. So we really want to get clear on those values, first of all. The second thing is that values are a part of economics. So the field of economics relates to values. And this is where is a person most valuable. Now, if you're running a business and a company, it's where are we as a company the most valuable. So we really want to think about values as being the feely side, but also the value side from a point of finances and financial. Now, if you've got a whole team of people who are living their values and also fit into the culture of the company, your business is going to be on fire and hugely profitable, and things are going to work a lot better than a business who doesn't have a clear set of values, and you're putting people in the wrong job roles who are living outside of their values. You've got to then go and kick their ass and push them to make them perform. They're going to feel like shit, so they're going to need more rewards. They're going to want more financial rewards. You'll see an increase in sick days. You'll see an increase in time off or wanting more holidays, and the productivity will just be low for that exact reason. So values are really essential, and they're something that I think every business owner should study. And, I talk a lot about it at our Thrive Time event. I also spend almost a whole day talking about values and the importance of values and how to understand them in a business and leadership sense in our Triumph event. And I go through it a heap as well in our Odyssey business event, because if you don't have clear values in your company, there's just going to be so much chaos. There's going to be so much wasted energy, so much time spent dealing with bullshit that you don't need to deal with. There's going to be a lot of decisions that aren't getting made, or the wrong decisions are getting made. There's just going to be so many problems in a business that business owners have to deal with that could easily be prevented by understanding how to use values effectively. So let's get clear with them. How do you find values in your business? Well, the first thing is like, what does the business represent, and what's the mission? What are you trying to achieve? So what's the long-term aim? Now, if we think about a mission as a long-term aim, it's like, what does it look like in the future? Now, for some business owners, they can't think longer than a year ahead, because just the way their brain's operating at the moment, if they're under high stress, your brain won't think long term. If that's the case, just start with a mission that's a year long. But over time, you want to expand that to 10, 15, 20, 30 years into the future, because then your decisions will be long-term decisions, not short-term immediate gratification decisions. I've spoken about this before on other episodes. So we start with the mission. Then from there, we go back and we look at, well, in order to achieve that mission, or in order to even achieve our goals, what do we represent as a business? Now, if you're the business owner who's listening to this podcast, the values will normally be driven from you. So for me, like in our business, something that's really important is I love working hard and I love pushing hard. So I hate it when I hire people and they don't want to work hard. I hate it when people tell me that can't be done, it's too hard, it's going to take too long, and people bitch and moan and complain. So they essentially will get pushed out of the company really, really quickly because they just won't fit in here. One of our original values that we had, the value was actually called "We Get Shit Done." And so that was a definition of who we are. So if you start working for us, or if you're in a job interview, I show you those values and I go, "We get shit done." That's part of our values, and that's part of our core philosophy with who we are. So if you're someone who just wants to come in and cruise and work a 9 to 5 job and have an hour lunch break, you're just going to get demolished by my team, because they won't put up with that stuff. And in fact, they will be the ones who will fire you. They'll come to me and say, "Get this person out of our business. They don't belong here. Get rid of them." Another one of our values is accountability. Is if something goes wrong, you're accountable. And it doesn't matter if you see anything that's going wrong in our business, then it's your job to make someone else aware, or it's your job to then fix it, or to come up with a solution to that problem. So accountability may be one of those values in your business. Those values are essentially, what does your business represent? Now, I would recommend to have no more than 6, but maybe 3 to 6 values maximum of who you are and what it represents. Now, how does this work? Once you've got your values clear, and it might take some time to refine them, like we're still refining our values and we've been using them for 4 or 5 years. And normally what will happen is that, let's say there's someone in the business and something keeps happening in the business. You either have to decide, is it a process problem or a people problem? Now, it might be a process problem, it might be a people problem, it might be a product problem. But what you'll do is you're looking at the problem and you go back to your values and you go, do our values tell us what direction we need to go in to solve this problem? Like, for instance, if there's a problem that just keeps arising in the company, and it might be that customers are being left and unsupported, and you look at your values and let's say there's accountability on there. Well, what happens is I can pull up my team and say, "Hey guys, look, accountability is high on our values list, or it's one of our values. How do you think as a team we're doing being accountable to our customers when they haven't had emails returned for 2 months? How do you think they feel?" And then the team will probably sit there, and if they're self-aware, they'll go, "Well, shit, that's not good. That's definitely not who we are as a company." And then I can go, well, how do we change that? How do we align with our values and take accountability? What does that look like? Can we put together a game plan and start to execute that so that then we can fix that problem. And so what I'm doing is I'm driving the whole team back to our values and saying, this is who we are at our core. Is this what we're representing now in these actions and these behaviors? And if not, how do we change it? So I'm not coming along and doing what most business owners doing and going, fucking hell, the team do all this shit and they're not on track and blah, blah, blah. And then they have a whinge. And then when they go to their team, they're going, guys, come on, this is bullshit. Like, we shouldn't be doing this. You don't need to have those conversations because you go back and you direct them back to the values. Let's say we've got a project and we're 2 days out and our goal is to have 50 people on a webinar or 100 people on a webinar. And that was our goal that was set 6 weeks ago. And we're 3 days out and we're 50 or 60 people, less than what we need. And my head of marketing is going home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because they started half an hour early or whatever and took a long lunch break or whatever. What I can do is I can pull them aside and say, hey, look, I understand that, you want to go home at 4 o'clock because maybe you started a little bit early, but look, we are committed to getting results because in our business, we get shit done. And that's one of our high values. Do you feel like you're getting shit done by helping us to achieve this outcome that we've set and we've all agreed upon? Do you think that you're displaying the company values by leaving at 4 o'clock? Or do you think for the next couple of days, you might have to work some extra hours in order to make sure that we hit that target? So I can direct them back to the values. Now, if they're pushing against the values and going, well, I've done my time here and I don't need to work back any longer, I can go, not a company fit. Perfect. Now I know that they're not going to fit. So then I can let them go and say, look, you're just not right. I don't think you're right here. Or I can ask them, I can say to them, do you really think that you're a good company fit here, knowing that these are our values and that you're not demonstrating them? And what you'll find is a lot of the time they'll just deselect themselves or fire themselves. They'll just go, yeah, you're right, I don't want to be here. And then they'll just leave. And so those values really help with keeping everyone on track. Also, I can't, as a leader and a boss in the company, I can't get pissed off at staff when they direct things back to the values. So for instance, if a company's got a high value of looking after their customers, so it might be customers first, that might be one of their values. Now, if a customer makes a decision which then puts the customer first and then the boss gets pissed off, then the staff member can say, hey, look, I know you're upset, but I just looked after the customer first. It's one of our values. And so I made an executive decision that this was the right thing to do based on our values. Now, as a leader, I can't be pissed off at that, or no other boss can be pissed off at that as well, especially if the team are thinking about their values and making decisions based on their values. So this is why values are so important, and they do take time, they do take thought, and a lot of business owners avoid doing it for those reasons because they're too busy running around like idiots trying to solve heaps of problems and putting out fires in their business, instead of going back and building the right infrastructure in the business to allow it to grow. We spend a lot of time at our Business Growth Odyssey event that we run, which is a year-long program to help business owners to scale and also to create operational freedom in their business. And I actually it's one of the first things that I help them with is to make sure that they're really clear on their mission, their vision, their purpose, their values, and to build that start map. Because if they don't have that, it's a really weak foundation to start on. And what I find is that most businesses, they'll grow and then they'll collapse. As in, they might grow to 15 staff and then they'll collapse back to 5. And then they'll grow to, 10 staff and then they'll collapse back to 7. And then they'll grow again. And they just waste so much time with this scaling and then contracting and this expanding and contracting. Or they will just have so much operational inefficiency where they'll keep hiring managers and leadership team. They'll get pissed off at the managers and leaders because they feel like most staff are just wasting time. There's so much cash coming in and going back out again. And it's almost like there's this just burn going on in the business where there's a lot of staff and there's a lot of money coming in, but there's also a lot of money going out, but there's not a lot of money staying in the business. And so that happens quite a lot as well when a business just doesn't have a really good foundation for growth. And I mean, it's pretty simple when you think about a building. If you want to build a skyscraper, you've got to lay some really deep foundations and make sure that the foundations are right for the soil that you're building in. Most business owners don't think about that when they grow a business. They just get out there and they do really good at their job. And then because of that, they end up getting a lot of customers. And then eventually they go, well, I'm going to jump out and I'm going to start hiring more staff. And then they become a leader. They don't have leadership skills. They don't have management skills. There's no direction in the business. There's no clear goals. There's no clear strategy. There's just so much to learn. And so most business owners just get really frustrated and really stressed with staff because there's just no way that staff can sort of figure out what they should do, how they should operate, how they should behave. And most business owners just say, well, they should know. That's not a strategy for growth. A strategy for growth is building the people in your business to understand the culture, to be part of the culture, to understand the direction, to have processes, to have systems, to have structure, and that's what helps a business to scale. But you can't build processes and you can't build structure if it goes against the values. So the values are such an integral part of the business. Now, another fuck up that most businesses make is when I go into corporate businesses, I see shit like integrity written on the wall and kindness and respect and honor. All of these dumb keywords that they're putting up there because, I don't know, probably some asshole business coach that went and did a university degree has got out there and just said, you need to have these things. And they talk to a whole bunch of people in the business and they go, well, these are nice words that feel good, so let's just pop them on a wall. That's not really a good strategy for creating values in a business. And if I walk around, when I go into corporate businesses or large businesses, I will grab the mission of the business and the values if they have them, and I'll go around and ask staff, what's the mission of the business and what are the values of the business, and see what they say. The majority of them have never seen them before. Or if they have seen them, they go, oh, yeah, I sort of remember them. Why? Because it's not reinforced. Every conversation almost every day should come back to values, mission, purpose, direction. There should be this consistent conversation because without that direction, things fall apart really, really quickly. I mentioned this in another podcast where if you get 20 people and they're all standing on a beach and you go, right, let's swim and go, and everyone just swims in all different directions, they're all going to get out of the water in completely different spots. That's how businesses are. Whereas if you have a clearly defined start line and a race line, people can then get out, swim around a racetrack, do a lap, and they can end up getting out of the pool at the same place that you want them to get out of the pool. Most businesses just operate like throwing everyone in the water and just saying swim, and everyone's swimming in different directions. There's no direction at all. And if there is direction, it's really poorly executed, and business owners are consistently trying to round up staff and keep pointing them back in the right direction because it's not reinforced. So once you set the values, the purpose, the mission, and the goals, you have to reinforce them consistently. And so every week in our team meeting, we talk about values. Most other meetings that we have, we talk about values. We talk about the mission. We talk about the goals we're trying to achieve, or the OKRs that we use. We use the OKR goal setting methodology, which if you haven't read the book, Measure What Matters by John Dewar, it's a great little book. Also, you can look at the website, whatmatters.com, and it helps you to build a really good goal setting system for your business as well, so that everyone sort of gets into alignment. But without those things, most businesses will just have massive inefficiencies, and that's just the way that they operate. Anyway, Driven Mofos, I hope you enjoyed this episode as well, and I hope it's given you something to think about. If you do want me to help with your values, you can jump across to our Facebook group, which is the No BS Business Hacks group. In there, I make some time slots available every week for our community. You're able to book a call with me as well. It's a 30-minute coffee chat call. And I'm more than happy to bounce some ideas around in a 30-minute call as well, just to help you out if you're part of the community. So jump across into our No BS Business Hacks group on Facebook. Just go to the search bar, type in No BS Business Hacks, and you'll see it come up. Join that group. And then in there somewhere, if you go through the thread or one of the first posts that are up on the page, the pin post, you'll be able to see how to book a call with me. And you can jump in there and we can talk about values, and I can help you to get clearer with them as well, especially if you've got a scaling business with a couple of staff and you're wanting to scale it to whatever size, whether it's medium or a large size business. I also do that as well with some larger businesses, where people have, 100 to 3,000 staff, and actually it makes a massive difference. A business that size, it'll probably save them tens of millions of dollars every year. Even if you're a startup business and you're bringing on staff and you're wanting to scale, it'll probably save you tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions a year. We're just preventing massive inefficiencies in leadership and also just massive inefficiencies in the business. Anyway, Driven Mofos, have a great day. And I also just want to say a massive shout out and a massive thank you to all of those who have been sharing this podcast, and especially for those of you who have been rating and reviewing this podcast. I know we've been hitting some great numbers on the podcast. The numbers keep going up every week. So it makes a massive difference. Like for me, I do this because I really want to help. And the way that I get fulfillment in this is to watch the numbers keep growing of more and more listeners and things like that. I want to keep helping people. And the more people we can share this stuff with, the bigger the difference that I'm making with this podcast. If you can get out there and share this stuff on your social media pages, also, feel free to tag me in those posts as well, because I love thanking you when you do that. It does make a massive difference, and it keeps me driven, because I keep thinking, at least I'm helping someone, or, someone likes this stuff. So yeah, I do read all the reviews, and I do check the star ratings that people give us as well. So if you haven't given us a star rating yet, whatever app you're listening to, just click the stars and it will come up and you just rate it. Also, if you can write a review as well, if you're on the Apple Podcast app, it does make a massive difference to the listeners as well. And then for all of you who have been sharing it with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and other business owners, thank you so much. It does inspire me as well when I see those numbers go up of listeners. So thank you to everyone out there who's doing that. I really do appreciate it. Anyway, Driven Mofos, keep living with Mojo. Have a great day, and I look forward to you joining me on the next episode.